Shalom. My name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard. My name is Adam and I welcome you. This is week 19 of our Torah portion study where each week we read and we study the word line by line. And this week is going to be Exodus 25:1 through 27:19. It's going to be covering the tabernacle and all the vessels, which, you know, I'll be honest with you, on the surface, it may seem a little boring sometimes to read through some things like this, where it talks about all the different pieces of the tabernacle. But, you know, there is something spiritually to be gained through this, and I think it's a really big wake-up call for the body, and I think it's incredibly important. So I pray you stay with us and study with us, and to show ourselves approved. So let's pray. We're going to blow some shofars, and then we're going to get right into the Torah portion. So, Heavenly Father, Yahweh Most High, we just come before you and bless you in your Son, Yahusha's name. Father, we thank you for sending your Son, that we may have life and have it abundantly. We thank you for sending him, that he's our perfect example of how to walk in the Torah, Father. And we just thank you for sending your Son. And we thank you for the Shabbat, the Sabbath that you've created for us as a rest. Father, we just ask that you would help us with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, to guide us in your word, Father, that we may be found faithful hearers and doers of your word, Father, and not being hypocrites. We love you, and we thank you in Yahushua's name. Amen. Hallelujah. So, I don't have my shofar with me right now. I'm unprepared. Not a great idea. Always have your shofar on you. It's actually in the living room and with the baby, and they're sleeping. So anyway, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do a road shofar. Children, don't try this at home. And you guys at home, get your shofars, and we'll blow the shofars across the four corners of the earth. All right, so here we are. Before we get into the Torah portion, I'm just going to read a couple passages from Psalm 119. This is coming from David, a man after his own heart, and let's see what it says. I am afflicted very much. Quicken me, O Yahweh, according to your word. Accept, I beseech you, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Yahweh, and teach me your judgments, your right rulings. That's what we were talking about last week. My soul is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget your law, your Torah. And so that's what we're doing here. We're studying his law, his Torah. We know that all the prophets, all the writings were based on the law. Even Messiah, and everything was based on the law. Everything goes back to the law. And the law, the Torah, is just what Yah's people have been void of, really for centuries. And so it's time to study it out. So let's do that. We're going to listen to the word audio for chapter 25 of Exodus, and then we're going to go back and kind of hit some of the key points that we should know. So here we go. Exodus 25.
Shemot, Exodus chapter 25. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Speak unto the children of Yasharel, that they bring me an offering. Of every man that gives it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them, gold, and silver, and brass, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skin dyed red, and badger skin, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod, in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. According to all that I show you, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, within and without shall you overlay it, and shall make upon it a crown of gold round about. And you shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the corners thereof, and 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. And you shall make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be taken from it. And you shall put into the ark the testimony which I give you. And you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, of beaten work shall you make them, in the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And make 1 cherub on one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall ye make the cherubim on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look one to another. Towards the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubim be. And you shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. And there I will meet with you, and I will commune with you from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubim, which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I give you in commandment unto the children of Yasharel. You shall also make a table of shittim wood, 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold round about. And you shall make unto it a border of a handbreadth round about, and you shall make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And you shall make it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table. And you shall make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And you shall make dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof. To cover withal of pure gold shall you make them. And you shall set upon the table showbread before me always. And you shall make a menorah, 7-branched candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work shall the menorah be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it, 3 branches of the menorah out of the one side, and 3 branches of the menorah out of the other side. 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with a knop and a flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knop and a flower, so in the 6 branches that come out of the menorah. And in the menorah shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, with their knops and their flowers. And there shall be a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceed out of the menorah. Their knops and their branches shall be of the same. All of it shall be one beaten work of pure gold. And you shall make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof, shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it, with all these vessels. And look that you make them after the pattern, which was showed you in the mount.
All right, praise. Yeah, so let's talk about chapter 25. So let's go back up to the beginning here. So remember, they're just coming out of Egypt. They're in the wilderness. They got the 10 commandments. And now Yah's like, hey, who of you is willing to give a free will offering? He's not even requiring it, but he says, speak unto the children that they bring me an offering. Of every man that gives it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering. And so, obviously, I think there's no wasted opportunity. In my opinion, I believe that Yah is there's a test here of who just wants to give out of a willing heart, and we know that Yah is loves the cheerful giver. And I want to go over some verses in the book of Sirach, just in case you're new. Sirach is also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, not Ecclesiastes. It was in the Greek Septuagint, which was the Bible that was around during Messiah's time, and it was also in the Apocrypha of the 1611 KJV. So anyways, this has been considered scripture for a long time. Sirach 12:3 says, "No good will come to the man who persists in evil, or to him who does not give alms." Alms is charities, giving, willing offering, if you will. Sirach 17:22 says, "A man's almsgiving is like a signet with Yahweh, and he will keep a person's kindness like the apple of his eye." Sirach 35:1-11. This is kind of just some interesting general information. It does tie in, but since we're here in Sirach, I really wanted to read this. It says, "He who keeps the law," or the Torah, "makes many offerings." So it's like, what this passage is going to show us is that it's kind of on a similar, this is a very practical standpoint to the passage where Yah's like, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Or Yahushua says, I desire mercy, not a sacrifice. He quoted that, of course, from earlier. But he prefers obedience than to sacrifice. I think that's in 1 Samuel 15 when in regards to King Saul. So my point is obedience is what he wants. He doesn't want animal slaughterings. He wants obedience. So he who keeps the law makes many offerings. He who heeds the commandments sacrifices a peace offering. He who returns a kindness offers fine flour. And he who gives alms sacrifices a thank offering. To keep from wickedness is pleasing to Yahweh, and to forsake unrighteousness is atonement. Do not appear before Yahweh empty-handed, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment. So pause here real quickly. So kind of going back to the Torah portion, what Yah would be hoping for from his people is, hey, I just brought you out of Egypt. I made sure that the Egyptians gave you all sorts of riches. Remember, they did not leave empty-handed. They left full. They left rich. And so I think he's seeing here, like, hey, who's willing? Who has a willing offering? And so consider that he probably tests all of us like this all the time, considering the income that we have, what we do with it. Are we generous? Do we give to others? Do we donate? Do we whatever we do? So the offering of a righteous man anoints the altar, and its pleasing odor rises before the Most High. The sacrifice of a righteous man is acceptable, and the memory of it will not be forgotten. Glorify Yahweh generously, and do not stint the first fruits of your hands. With every gift show a cheerful face, and dedicate your tithe with gladness. Give to the Most High as he has given, and as generously as your hand has found. For Yahweh is the one who repays, and he will repay you sevenfold. Sirach 40 verse 24 says, "Brothers and help are for a time of trouble, but almsgiving rescues better than both." Let's take a look at Luke 6:30 through 38. And just in case any of you are new, we put the study notes in the description box of the video. So if you're like, I can't even keep up with that, I'm taking notes, I have all the notes written down for you. And also for week 17, I didn't have the notes. Thanks, Kevin, for mentioning that to me in the comments. I went ahead and updated that. So week 17 notes are there now. So if anyone else missed those. All right, so Luke 6:30 through 38 says, "Give to every man that asks of you, and of him that takes away your goods, ask them not again. And as you would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. For if you love them which love you, what thank have you? For sinners also love those that love them. And if you do good to them which do good to you, what thank have you? For sinners also do even the same. And if you lend to them of whom you hope to receive, what thank have you? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love ye your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest. For he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that you mete withal, it shall be measured to you again." What we're gonna drive home this point here. We're gonna go to the book of the Natsarim. If you're looking at the PDF, page 51. If you're in the book, I'm not sure. Actually, would that be page 29 right here? I'm not sure if these PDF pages line up actually with the book. So, chapter 4, verses 38 through 38, 37 through 38. So, chapter 4, verses 37 through 38. And just in case anyone else is new, the book of the Natsarim. This is supposedly written by Joseph of Arimathea, another witness of the gospel of Messiah. We do believe that it does capture some of the words of Messiah that wasn't captured in the other 4 gospel accounts. So it says, the rich are responsible for providing the needs for the poor, whether by work or food. This, above all, is the prime responsibility of wealth. And if a rich man says this he cannot do, then his riches witness against him. For if a poor man has a loaf of bread, he will share it with he who has none. And a beggar at the door of a poor man receives better treatment than he does at the doors of the rich. Yet the rich have the most to give, and this is the sin of the wealthy. Riches of themselves are not sinful. It is what they make of men that brings them into ill repute. So think about this week's Torah portion. Think about the people who got brought out of Egypt, had all these riches, and then Yah told Moses, and Moses made a proclamation, hey, he who has a willing heart, come and donate. So I'm sure some of them were like, yeah, I wouldn't have had any of this if it wasn't for Yah. He can have 10% of it. He can have half of it. He can have all of it, whatever any of them said. And there probably was some people like, well, I'll give, I got 100 gems, but I'll give 1. I mean, I need to keep them because I need to have them to make sure that when we get in the promised land, we have enough and we have to build and we have to do that. Do you see how that can relate to our time even today? Just consider the bounty that Yah has given us, whether it's big or small, right? Just consider that. So riches of themselves are not sinful. It is what they make of men that brings them into ill repute. Whether someone has lots of money, a little bit of money, or in the between, money, one way or the other, it's money. How do I want to say this? Money is like a litmus test for people, and however much is given to them, it's a test, right? And I think that's what was going on in the wilderness. They were given these riches, and then there was a test. Hey, are you willing to give? And the good news is because there was a point. I can't remember if it's the end of this Torah portion or next. Moses has to say, hey, that's enough. That's enough. We have enough. Thank you. So the good news is there was a lot of good willing hearts here. So money right here. If they were properly regarded as something permitting the possessor to study the books of wisdom and to redress the wrongs of the poor, then they would serve a good end. Let the rich ask themselves with sincerity, am I not wealthy because of my lack of charity and the exploitation of others? Is it not because I love myself more than my neighbors? And then the last passage on lending, this is kind of interesting, and I want to read this because obviously it ties right in. But there's a precept here that we should really learn. Actually, I'll explain it after we read the scripture. Then it'll make more sense. It says, he that shows mercy will lend to his neighbor. So lending is equivalent to being merciful. So when we're walking the fruits of the Spirit and we're supposed to be merciful, merciful isn't just someone does you wrong and they apologize and you're like, it's okay, I forgive you. Their mercy has many, many faces, and this is one of them, lending. Just think about all the ways that Yah is merciful with us. Then you can be like, okay, that's how I can be with other people too. So, and he that strengthens, okay, let's start over. I talked too much. He that shows mercy will lend to his neighbor, and he that strengthens him will, with his hands, keeps the commandments. Lend to your neighbor in the time of his need, and in turn, repay your neighbor promptly. Confirm your word and keep faith with him, and on every occasion you will find what you need. Many persons regard a loan as a windfall, like windfall isn't like, it's like it's gone with the wind, if you will, and cause trouble to those who help them. A man will kiss another's hand until he gets a loan, and will lower his voice in speaking of his neighbor's money. But at the time for repayment, he will delay, and will pay in words of unconcern, and will find fault with the time. If the lender exert pressure, he will hardly get back half, and will regard that as a windfall. If he does not, the borrower has robbed him of his money, and he has needlessly made him his enemy. He will repay him with curses and reproaches, and instead of glory will repay him with dishonor. Because of such wickedness, therefore, many have refused to lend. So this is where I want to get, this is the point I want to make. People have burned us. I don't know about you, people have burned me with money many times over. But the thing is here, actually, let's just keep reading. So this is the point number one, just to consider. Because of such wickedness, as in person A loans to person B. Person B is, says all kinds of nice things. Oh, I'll pay in time, blah, blah, blah. So they gets the money, and then when it's time for repayment, they're like, oh, well, you said you'd give me 6 months. It's only been 5 months and 28 days, 30 days. And what it's saying is because people get burned, it says, therefore many have refused to lend. Because no, I got burned. I'm not getting burned again. I'm done with it. I've learned my lesson. They have been afraid of being defrauded needlessly. Nevertheless, be patient with a man in humble circumstances, and do not make him wait for your alms. Help a poor man for the commandment's sake, and because of his need, do not send him away empty. Lose your silver for the sake of a brother or a friend, and do not let it rust under a stone and be lost. Lay up your treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it will profit you more than gold. Store up almsgiving in your treasury, and it will rescue you from all affliction. More than a mighty shield and more than a heavy spear, it will fight on your behalf against your enemy. So what's the point here is, even if you've gotten burned in lending money, it's saying don't harden your heart and continue to lend, because Yahweh sees everything, does he not? Even if you get robbed of that $1,000, do you not serve the Elohim that can give you $7,000 by realizing that, hey, you were merciful, you lent, even if you kind of had an idea that you wouldn't get repaid anyways? Because that's what Luke said. Luke 6 said here earlier. We were just reading. It says, it says, and lend hoping for nothing again. So even if it's like a loan, just even consider, hey, you know what? If he doesn't even repay, praise Yah. But the overall point I wanted to make is that this doesn't have to apply just to lending. We should be able to take precepts like this and apply it to other areas. Like, for example, one that hits home for me is staying in a position to be open up to make new friends. And the reason I say this is because over the last 4 years, I've gotten burned by people who call themselves best friends, close friends. Adam, I'm your right-hand guy. I mean, people that have claimed to be my friends. Over time, I recognized that, some of them were there just because of my position or the influence in the assembly or YouTube channel or popularity, whatever. And, this book really explains what a real friend looks like, and that's really helped me navigate that. But I've gotten burned by people who call themselves my friends and turn around and stab me in the back, whatever. And so I realized in reading this, I think maybe last year, I'm like, I should be able to apply the same principle, because I felt myself kind of maybe closing up a little bit. And because it's like almost everyone that comes to this area and wants to be my friend ends up, turning against me and becoming an enemy. And so I'm like, I was starting to like shell up a little bit, like, okay, like I can't trust anybody, But in the same way, this has showed me, hey, even though you get burned and you get burned 100 times, don't stop being merciful. So in a similar way, I know this is not like, I'm just saying this is a parallel thing in my life that I can share, that maybe you can look in your life and be like, what, I've gotten burned several times on this, but I'm not going to stop doing the will of the Father. I'm not going to stop being merciful. I'm not going to stop being, so for me, I'm not going to stop being friendly and cordial and welcome more friendships. And so I was able to move past that to where I don't have this wall build up. And that was the fruit of this passage here in my life. So we've gotten on a really big rabbit hole off of the first 7 verses. Let's get back to Exodus. So Exodus 25. So let's take a look at Exodus 25:8. It says, and let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. So what's really cool about this in a modern sense is, let's take a look at John 2:18-21. It says, then answered the Jews and said to him, what sign do you show us, seeing that you do these things? Yahushua answered and said to them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days will I raise it up. So they're thinking, yeah, right. It took 46 years, right? They said, 40 and 6 years was this temple and building, and will you rear it up in 3 days? They're like, but he spake of the temple of his body. 1 Peter 2:5, you also as living stones are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahushua HaMashiach. We're going to come back to this passage for a different reason a little bit later. John 14:15, actually, I don't want to read this one right now. Actually, I just want to read this verse. Yahushua answered and said to him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our house, our abode with him, will live with him. 1 Corinthians 6:19, what? Know you not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you're not of your own. So what's that telling us? That this body is the temple for the Holy Spirit, and that he's going to dwell with us. And this is kind of foreshadowing, in my opinion, and I believe that precept is going to foreshadow the rest of this Torah portion, which is, it may seem boring with the different stones and the different chapters and the fillets and the boards and the all the different things. Like, okay, whatever. This is just a construction This is a construction chapter or Torah portion. Well, if you think about it, in a sense, I mean, all of us are building blocks for this tabernacle. We'll explain that in just a second. Let's go to verse 16 of 25. It says, "And you shall put the ark of the testimony, which I shall give you." So, or actually I missed one. Verse 10 says, basically the size, not everyone goes by cubits these days. Approximately, the Ark of the Covenant was approximately 4.3 feet long and 2.5 feet wide. Yeah, 4.3 long by 2.5 feet wide was the size of the ark. And then verse 16, it says here, "You shall put into the ark the testimony which I give you," which, remember, the testimony is the tablets, the two tables, that's the Torah, the rod, which is the authority of the priesthood and the power of Yahweh, and the third thing was the manna, which we know that Messiah, Yahusha, is the true bread from heaven. And so these are three big pieces of who our Messiah is. Let's see here. No, okay, we'll go on to... Yeah, so actually, just real quickly, since it's talking about the ark here, I thought I'd just read a neat little story about the ark from 2nd Baruch. First Baruch was in the Apocrypha. Second Baruch, this is his second book here. It says, and it came, this is, just to give you the setting here, this is when Nebuchadnezzar and the army of Babylon were getting ready to destroy Jerusalem. It says, "And it came to pass on the morrow that, lo, the army of the Chasdeans surrounded the city. And at the time of the evening, I, Baruch, left the people and went forth and stood by the oak. And I was grieving over Zion and lamenting over the captivity which had come upon the people. And lo, suddenly a strong ruach raised me and bore me aloft over the wall of Jerusalem. And I beheld, and lo, 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the city, each of them holding a torch of fire in his hands. And another angel began to descend from heaven and said to them, Hold your lamps, and do not light them till I tell you. For I am first sent to speak a word to the earth, and to place in it what Yahweh Sabaoth has commanded me. And I saw him descend into the Holy of Holies, and take from thence the veil, and the holy ark, and the mercy seat, and the 2 tables, and the holy raiment of the priests, and the altar of incense, and the 48 precious stones wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the holy vessels of the tabernacle, that's what this week's Torah portion is about the vessels and the tabernacle. And he spoke to the earth with a loud voice, Earth, 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 hear the word of El Elohim, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times, so that when you are ordered, you may restore them, so that strangers may not get possessions of them. For the time comes when Jerusalem also will be delivered for a time, until it is said that it is again restored forever. And the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed them up. Also, homework, not really homework, but if some extra credit reading. Take a look at 1 Samuel 4, 1 Samuel 5. We got a neat little story about the ark. We're going to skip that this year. We read it the last couple years. And then Revelation 11 with their revealing of the Ark of the Covenant again, which we saw that Baruch said it would be preserved for the end times. Let's go to verse 23 of Exodus 25. This is the table of the showbread. I was going to show you guys a picture of the ark, but I think everyone knows what the Ark of the Covenant looks like. Table of the showbread here. This is a good one right here. This is what the table of the showbread looked like according to the instructions. And then let's take a look at, which, by the way, which is kind of cool here. You had, here's the showbread. And some people think it was circular cakes. Some think it was like, yeah, maybe this is not exactly what, yeah, I think it would look more like this right here. Yeah, here you go, right there. This is kind of what, when I read about it, this is what it describes to me here. And you've got 6 cakes on one side, 6 on the other. Obviously, for the 12 tribes of Israel. This is what it would have looked like right here. Actually, I like this photo because it shows the lampstand on the other side, which is supposed to shine against this showbread right here. And so let's go to Let's see. We talked about the showbread. Let's go to the lampstand. This is my favorite vessel in the tabernacle. Let's take a look at the lampstand. One thing I like about this is literally right here, verse 36. It says, "Their knops, their branches shall be of the same, and it shall be one beaten work of pure gold." So literally, the entire tabernacle. Let's see. So yeah, here we go. This is, yeah. Hopefully everyone has already seen a menorah. But what's cool about this is it's one beaten work of pure gold. And what I love about that is it reminds me of how we're supposed to be one. And we know, and we'll read about it here in a second, that the book of Revelation says that the menorah represents the 7 assemblies written about in Revelation. Let's read Zechariah 4. Let's read about the spiritual implications about the lampstand. Zechariah 4, "And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is wakened out of his sleep, and said to me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick of all gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. So I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these, my master? Then the angel that talked with me answered me and said to me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my master. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of Yahweh unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says Yahweh Sabaoth. Who are you, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel, that you should become a plain? And he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace unto it. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And ye shall know that Yahweh Sabaoth has sent me unto you. For who has despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel. With those 7, they are the eyes of Yahweh, which run to and fro through the whole earth. Then answered I, and said to him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said to him, What be these 2 olive branches, which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? And he answered me and said, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my master. Then he said, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by Yahweh of the whole earth. And I think we're going to be able to properly pinpoint who these are. Psalm 52:8, which I'm going to cut to the chase, the 2 witnesses, and I'll explain that in a second. Psalm 52:8, But I am like a green olive tree in the house of Elohim. I trust in the mercy of Elohim forever and ever. Prophesied by David. He's saying he is this olive tree. I believe, his people Israel in general, but I think you'll find that there's 2 offices that are the ones that dump the oil into the churches. Jeremiah 11:16, Yahweh called your name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit, with the noise of a great tumult. He has kindled a fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken. This is talking about the destruction of Israel. So talking about this green olive tree that was mentioned in Zechariah 4. Revelation 11:4, These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. Revelation 1:20, the mystery of the 7 stars, which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks, which you saw, are the 7 churches. And that's what was the representation here. So you have, what's interesting, you have the table of showbread with talking about the 12 tribes. You have the 7 menorahs, but the 7 churches. I believe this is all in the same house, right? And I believe in possibly talking here about the 2 sticks here specifically. And so let's take a look at Ezekiel 36:16 through 17. So remember, you have 2 olive trees with 2 pipes, or you could call it 2 sticks, 2 pipes dumping the oil into the 7 branch menorah. Ezekiel 36:16 through 17. Moreover, you son of man, take ye 1 stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. And join them one to another in 1 stick, and they shall become one in your hand. Furthermore, talked about these olive trees dumping oil into the 7 branches. Leviticus 24, 1 through 2, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, who was compared to a green olive tree, that they bring unto you pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually. Now, we also know, to go actually a step further, we know, oh, okay, I already had that there. Okay. I don't know why I didn't show. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it's talking about how the children of Israel are to bring the oil beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually. And what is the lamp? What is the light? For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. And so the children of Israel are to bring forth this oil that was to cause the Torah, the light, to be burning inside of the tabernacle at all times. Remember, we're the tabernacle right now, individually and as a whole, corporately, as a body. And so, what's to move even forward, what are these two pipes that bring it into? Right here. These are the two olive trees, the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. Who were the two offices that were to stand before Yahuwah? Revelation 5, 9 through 10, and they sung a new song, saying, You are worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for you were slain and have redeemed us to Elohim by your blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and you have made us unto our Elohim kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Let's take a couple of verses about standing before Yahuwah. Luke 21:36, Watch ye therefore and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. I don't know about you, I want to be counted worthy to stand before the Son of Man. That's why we're here. We're showing ourselves approved to study the word of the Most High and apply it to our lives. Deuteronomy 10:8, At that time Yahuwah separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, to stand before Yahuwah, to minister unto him and to bless his name unto this day. I believe it's talking about kings and priests, the office of kings and priests. 1 Kings 17:1, And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As Yahuwah Elohim of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. Remember, these two prophets, the two witnesses, will have power, just like Elijah as well. 2 Kings 3:14, And Elisha said, As Yahuwah Sebaot, who lives, before whom I stand, surely were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look towards you nor see you. Jeremiah 15:19 says, and again, remember, if I'm going too fast, I have all these notes written down for you. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah, If you return, then I will bring you again, and you shall stand before me. And if you take forth the precious from the vial, you shall be as my mouth. Let them return unto you, but return not you unto them. And it's interesting that these kings, kings, prophets, and priests, and you really could put priests and prophets kind of in the same category, and then kings really were the two main offices that ministered to the people, that brought the word to the people. We see that Yah used prophets, kings, and priests. And then in general, kind of just speaking from a general overview of kind of what we're talking about here, is we're talking about the vessels inside the tabernacle, right? And so Paul makes a really cool comparison here, talking about leaving iniquity and becoming vessels to Yah. So listen to this, 2 Timothy 2:19 through 21. Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal. Yahweh knows them that are his, and let everyone that names the name of Messiah depart from iniquity, lawlessness. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, which we're reading about, but also of wood and earth, which we're reading about, and some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself of these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified or made holy, and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. That's a little off topic. All right. And then another point I want to make, but I think I'm actually going to keep it I'm going to cut and paste this. This is going to go for after chapter 26. Yeah. We're going to save that. Okay, so let's actually go to chapter 26 now, and we'll have the word audio read it, and then we'll discuss a couple of things. So here we go. Chapter 26.
Shemot. Exodus chapter 26.
Moreover, you shall make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple, and scarlet, with cherubim of cunning work shall you make them. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, Every one of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together, one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And you shall make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and likewise shall you make in the uttermost edge of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shall you make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shall you make in the edge of the curtain that is the coupling of the second, and the loops may take hold one of another. And you shall make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. And you shall make curtains of goat hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shall you make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. And you shall couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shall double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. And you shall make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is utmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which couples the second. And you shall make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the remnant that remains of the curtain of the tent, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle, and a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side, of that which remains in the length of the curtains of the tent. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle, on this side and on that side, to cover it. And you shall make a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, and a covering above of badger's skin. And you shall make the boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 2 tenons shall be in one board, set in order one against another. Thus shall you make for all the boards of the tabernacle. You shall make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. And you shall make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle on the north side there shall be 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward you shall make 6 boards, and 2 boards shall you make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And you shall make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the middle of the boards shall reach from end to end. And you shall overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And you shall overlay the bars with gold. And you shall rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed you in the mount. And you shall make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work, with cherubim shall it be made. And you shall hang it upon the 4 pillars of shittim wood, overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And you shall hang up the veil under the taches, that you may bring in hither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And you shall put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And you shall set the table without the veil, and the menorah, 7-branched candlestick, over against the table on the side of the tabernacle towards the south. And you shall put the table on the north side. And you shall make a hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And you shall make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and you shall cast 5 sockets of brass for them.
See? Now we got it all figured out. Praise, yeah. No, in all seriousness, there's actually something really cool to think about here. Let's go here real quickly before we jump into that. Let's go to Hebrews 8:5. It says, "Who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of Elohim when he was about to make the tabernacle. For see, says he, that you make all things according to the pattern showed to you in the mount." Now, think about this. Think about this from a spiritual perspective. For 1 Peter 2:5, "You also, as living or lively stones, are built up a spiritual house." Stop. Pause. What he's saying is, like, let's just relate it to something we know a little better today. Bricks. Okay, so let's say Yah is building a brick house. Each one of us is a brick, and as you know, you're not going to build that wall with like only a couple bricks. We need all the bricks. We need all of us, and so if we're all built up this house, we can't just have bricks. We need boards. We need tenons. We need sockets. We need fillets. We need pillars. We need somebody to be cherubim. No, I'm just kidding. But no, the point is like I think that I'm really, at first I was like, okay, but really over the years I'm thinking about there's really a spiritual aspect to take from this, and I really want to share that right now. That's what I was going to share earlier, but I'm like, I'll share it after 26. Romans 12:3-8, because the same happens for us in the body right now. If you right now, I'm talking about you, yes, you, has the Holy Spirit in you, your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh. So you individually are the temple. However, in a bigger sense, we're all supposed to come together as a spiritual house. So let's look at it again. You also, as living stones, are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahushua HaMashiach. So that means that the boards have to get along with the tenons, and the tenons have to get along with the sockets, and the sockets have to get along with the tacks, or is it tashes or tacks? Or is it tashes, tatches, or I don't even know what Jake said in there. I thought it was tax, but I could be wrong. They have to get along, because if they don't, how can they be built up a house? If the tacks are arguing with the boards and the boards can't get along with the whatever, how is that house going to be built up? It's going to be in complete disarray. It can't get erected. And so what my point here is, we've got to like start figuring this out and stop being against each other so much, and just recognize, okay, you understand that passage that way? Okay, I understand it this way. Praise Yah. Revelation 21:2-3, "And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim." A little bit further, let's look at the building of the New Jerusalem. "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain." We'll get back to Romans 12 in a second. I meant to talk about this first. And I'm so excited about this Torah portion that I'm just jumping ahead. "He carried me away in the spirit to a great high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And on the east 3 gates, and on the north 3 gates, and on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lies foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with a reed, 12,000 furlongs, and the length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof, 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. I always thought of, according to the measure of man. Is this going to be the measure of a man when he's glorified? That is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was of pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. I think it's just people, personally. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprasus, the 11th jacinth, the 12th amethyst, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for Yahweh Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. So what's kind of interesting here is, these, first of all, these gemstones are the same gemstones that were on the breastplate. These breastplates were supposed to represent the 12 stones of the tribe of Israel. Actually, another passage that I totally forgot to put in here, and I should put in the notes for next year, I think is Isaiah 49, talking about the people being these precious stones again, right? You are these living stones, and then in the building of New Jerusalem, the people are literally the stones of it. And then Isaiah 49, this is talking about New Jerusalem, and it says, here we go. Yahweh was talking to New Jerusalem. Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. Your children shall make haste. Your destroyers and they that made you waste shall go forth of you. Lift up your eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to you. As I live, says Yahweh Elohim, you shall surely clothe you with them all as with an ornament, and bind them on you as does a bride. So literally the people are coming to New Jerusalem, and he says, I'm going to clothe you with them as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. So it's interesting. I believe in the last days that New Jerusalem is going to set down in the Levant area, and I believe it's going to get destroyed. I think Mystery Babylon, Jerusalem is going to get destroyed, and I believe New Jerusalem is going to set down. And it says all those people, right, all your destroyers and they that made you waste shall go forth. So they're going to leave, but then, of course, who's going to be gathered? His precious stones, these people right here. You are living stones built up a spiritual house. So let's go back to Romans 12. With that understanding, I think there's a reason that he listed all these different parts. He's like, hey, all these parts fit together to make my house my house. So just because you're an elbow, don't think that you're more important than the knee, or even the toes for that matter, or even the toenail, right? For I say, though the grace is given to me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Elohim has dealt to every man the measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Messiah, and every one members of one of another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teaches on teaching, or he that exhorts on exhortation, he that gives, let him do it with simplicity, he that rules with diligence, he that shows mercy with cheerfulness. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 12. Now let's just go here. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Master. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same Elohim which works in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. For as the body is one, and has many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Messiah. For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where were the smelling? But now has Elohim set the members, every one of them in the body, as it has pleased him. And if they were all one member, where were the body? But now are they many members, but yet but one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need for you, nor again the head to the feet. I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary, and those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor. And our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. For our comely parts have no need, but Elohim has tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to the part which lacked, that there should be no schism in the body, which there's many, unfortunately we failed here, but that the members should have the same care for one another. I mean, really, if you really think about, if you put the focus on I'm the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh. How about we are the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh? I would be willing to imagine if all of us were set in an open field and Yah said, you are all my building blocks for my temple, we would look at each other a little bit differently and we'd treat each other a little bit differently, because out of sight, out of mind, we don't see each other. The internet makes things impersonal. The internet makes accusations and attacks much easier. People who wouldn't do it face-to-face, who wouldn't dare to do it face-to-face, would do it as a keyboard warrior. And so that just intensifies the divisions. And in verse 26, and whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it, or one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Messiah, and members in particular. And Elohim has set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, governments, diversities of tongues. Are all apostles? The answer is no. Are all prophets? The answer is no. Are all teachers? The answer is no. Are all workers of miracles? The answer is no. Have all the gifts of healing? The answer is no. Do all speak with tongues? The answer is no. Do all interpret? The answer is no. But desire earnestly the best gifts, and yet I show unto you a more excellent way. So the point being is he's saying that not everybody has these gifts, and so what an amazing assembly if there was someone that had the gift of teaching, someone that had real prophecy, someone that really had tongues, and so imagine how effective that assembly could come. And then think about it as a whole. If we all come together, and what can get accomplished, man! Praise be to the Most High. So, last thing I wanted to mention, actually, let's finish 27, and then I want to make one last mention about the tabernacle in general. And then I actually have a lot of announcements if any of you are willing to stay towards the end. I've got a lot of important announcements. So here, let's read 27. I've got just a few notes, or actually, this is a short Torah portion. We're almost done here. Here we go. Exodus 27.
Shemot, Exodus chapter 27.
And you shall make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. And the altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And you shall make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and you shall overlay it with brass. And you shall make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans. All the vessels thereof you shall make of brass, and you shall make it for a grate of network of brass, and upon the net shall you make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And you shall put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And you shall make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar, to bear it. Hollow with boards shall you make it, as it was showed you in the mount, so shall they make it. And you shall make the court of the tabernacle, for the south side southward. There shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen, of 100 cubits long for one side. And the 20 pillars thereof and their 20 sockets shall be of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise for the north side in length there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and his 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be hangings of 20 cubits, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework, and their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height of 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle in the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass.
Okay, praise yeah. Before I did this study, I was on the phone with Lyndon from Left and Right Ministries, and we were talking about what piece we would like to be. And actually, I forgot, what did Lyndon say? Lyndon, you're gonna have to comment and just put a comment what piece of the tabernacle you'd like to be. I just said I would like to be blue. I would like to be a blue piece of linen, fine twined linen. What I'd like to be. That's what I would like to be. What would you like to be? So, anyways, let's a couple things. So, one interesting thing about the construction plans, if you will, for this tabernacle. Over the years, the standard understanding of the tabernacle is this one. This one. This is the shoebox one, like this. Yeah, here we go. This is the standard understanding, and I think you can make that work. But there's an engineer by the name of Andy Hoy. You guys have maybe seen him around the internet, but he brings an interesting perspective to this from Project 314. This is the name of the YouTube channel, Project 314. He did an interview with Rob Skiba years ago, but he puts forth a really good case that you can actually make all those instructions work for a round tabernacle, which I think is kind of interesting. I actually discussed this quite a bit in this video here that I did years ago called The Real Alien Agenda, and we talk about the circular tabernacle and how that kind of plays into it. So if you haven't seen that, I'd recommend it. Again, the link is in the study notes in the description box. And then what we got here again. So yeah, this is kind of what it would look like a little bit. So this veil right here separated the most holy place. A lot of you remember from the gospel, it says the veil was rent in two. This veil was rent, was torn in two, and that gave access to here. This is the high priest was only allowed to enter into the most holy place one time a year during the Day of Atonement. Other than that, nobody went in there. If you did, you'd die straight up. And so this curtain would be all the way across here, so you wouldn't even see that. And you can see that kind of cut out here where it shows where the Ten Commandments would be, and the rod and the manna was inside the here. This is right here, the mercy seat. And this represents Yahweh's throne. I think we'll talk about it maybe more next week. But the mercy seat on top of the ark represents his throne. Actually, matter of fact, he'd probably be sitting right here, not on this part right here. He'd be sitting above this. But here you can see the table, the showbread, and how the menorah will be shining. The light will be shining on the bread right here. And so, yeah, this just gives you an understanding. But the point is that it is very possible that the tabernacle could have been circular, like a dome, rather than a shoebox type style. So anyways, with that being said, brothers and sisters, that's going to end our Torah portion. Got a couple of announcements. Want to remind you all about Sukkot. Sukkot, well, actually, we're going to start camping 2 months from today. Sorry. Camping is going to start October 16th. Actually, I'll show you guys the schedule really quickly. I'm going to show you real quick here. I'll do another screen share. By the way, just in case if anyone doesn't know, we have a web page for the 2024 feast date. So we already, of course, passed the first half of them with all the spring ones. But here now we're coming up here soon. This is the feast days coming up. Some of you may be on different calendars. That's okay if you want to follow the same one we're doing. People ask me the name of it. I don't have a fancy name. I would just call it an Enoch calendar, following the lunisolar Enoch calendar that's mentioned in chapter 72 through 78 of Enoch. Anyway, so October 3rd, that night we'll be able to see the new moon. So that 24-hour period from Thursday night to Friday night will be a Shabbat. So you may want to start taking off work if you haven't yet. Day of Atonement will be, we'll have a cool little double Shabbat here. We'll have a Shabbat from Friday evening to Saturday evening, but as soon as Saturday evening starts, Day of Atonement starts. It will run through Sunday night. And then Feast of Tabernacle starts here on Thursday. We're actually going to have people start checking in to Lebanon, Missouri, the same campground we've been going at for the last couple of years. People will be checking on here Wednesday the 16th, and we'll be checking out actually Sunday the 27th. So we'll be camping from the 16th to the 27th. So it'll be in Lebanon, Missouri. I want to just make mention that there's an option to either pay the ticket price, because there are costs. I have to rent the campground out, food costs, labor costs to get the tent up and everything. But however, we also have free tickets for those who can't afford it. Don't let money hinder you from coming and celebrating Yah's feast with us. And so if you don't have much money and you want to get there, and even, I'll tell you what, even some of you that may just need a little help with gas money, I'm hoping there's going to be sponsors and donors that'll help people that don't have money to get there. And so I'm hoping that this community aspect will work. Those that have enough can donate and take care of the people that don't have money to get there. And I think that's part of being merciful. We talked about that earlier. Lending or even giving to your neighbor. We won't call it lend, but giving to your neighbor so that they can come. And so point being is, if you don't have money, don't let that be a hindrance from coming out and feasting with us, celebrating the Feast of Sukkot, the wedding ceremony. So would love for you guys to come out. So that's coming up in 2 months. Another big thing is tomorrow. Those of you who are watching this close to its recording date, so tomorrow on Shabbat, on the Gregorian calendar, August 16th, Saturday at noon, we are going to have a huge opportunity at our service tomorrow. Long story short, we bought this property. We closed on it like 4 months ago, and part of the negotiations was that we bought the property from an old Pentecostal church. We bought an old Pentecostal church that had a church building on it and a little house for my wife and I, and we're starting to build a community off of that as well. But the point is part of that was that in the negotiations that they would come and do one Shabbat with us. And so we planned that 4 or 5 months ago, and here we are. Tomorrow is the day where their church, I think there's like 40 of them, are going to come to our Shabbat tomorrow, and they're going to hear a message from me and praise and worship from Lyndon and Ruth. And so please pray for us. I think this is an excellent opportunity to share some of these truths with some people that may have not ever heard about it otherwise. I'm going to share with them the testimony of the ancient path, and I'm going to share them the testimony that we hold of why we're walking in faith and obedience to Messiah according to the Torah of the Most High. And so that's tomorrow. So depending on when you're watching this, it may have already passed. You may want to go back and watch it. I don't know what I'm going to call it the testimony of Ancient Path Fellowship. That's probably what I'm going to call it. So pray for us. I pray that Yah would give me the words to speak truth into these people's lives, and because this is a Pentecostal church. You guys know who Pentecostals are, and obviously or believers in Messiah, and we want to show them, help direct them away from the doctrines of men into the truth. Third big thing is we're doing we were calling it a nationwide baptism, but now we're calling it an international baptism because we have many places across the world now. Actually, I'm going to go to the website and we'll do a screen share again. So if some of you don't know, we have the website, also Ancient Path Revivals. This is the Ancient Path is the ministry that Left and Right Ministries and Parable of the Vineyard had formed together. Our plan, of course, is to do revivals around the country. We're doing it in a small way now through Hebrew Fest, but we want to branch out and do that all across really the world. So here at Ancient Path, a couple things. Don't do it during Shabbat, but my wife has updated her store with. I don't know if you can see that. I can't see. Where's my camera? Yeah, with the Yod Hey Vav Hey shirts. Some of you were asking about those. Don't look at that on Shabbat, though. Don't even look at it, no. But if you go here to upcoming events, you'll see that we have the International Baptism event. Let's increase the size for you all here. You can see it a little better, maybe. Here we go. And so we're hosting on August 25th, so 2 Sundays from now. let's just read it. Have you been thinking about being baptized but weren't sure where to start? Here's your chance to not only be immersed, but to potentially meet with other believers in your area. On Sunday, August 25th, 2024, we will be partnering with brothers and sisters across the world to hold a one-day baptism event. The baptisms will take place at noon, regardless of your time zone. Please check the following list for a gathering in your area and contact for the host. So here are the different brothers, and these are all brothers I know personally and trust. I trust sending you to them to be baptized and for fellowship as well. A lot of these brothers actually have fellowships. Some of them are just home fellowships. Some of them are assemblies. Like, for example, I'll show you. Here's ours. Springfield, Missouri. We're not actually in Springfield, but that's kind of the bigger hub. We'll actually be doing in Ozark, Missouri. You can just contact us, Ancient Path Fellowship, and myself, Lyndon, and the other elders, Lee, Stan, and Jim will be doing the baptisms that Sunday, and likewise other places all over the country. Check to see if there's somewhere near you. We're going to be continuing to update more locations, so if you don't see anything close enough to you yet, just keep checking. And of course, we've got a couple of international locations. We've got Brother Mark in Paris, Brother Emmanuel in Kampala, Uganda, where I was a few months ago, and the Way Biblical Fellowship in the UK. So these are all brothers who have agreed to be available on Sunday for a baptism. So that's the third announcement. And the fourth announcement is something that I don't do very often. A lot of you guys know that I'm very thankful to Yah that I've never had to ask any of you guys for money. I never had to say, hey, can you donate? Consider donating. Consider going to my Patreon. I'm not judging other people that do that. I just feel that I don't want to get into any of that. And I've been doing ministry for 7 years, and I've never had to ask for help. Except one time we asked last year, we had some things that broke down in the building. The AC went down with a few other things, and so I was left in a position to ask for help from the community. I'm kind of at that place right now. Here's the situation. As I said, we purchased this new property, and we have about 20 some odd people that are actually living on property with us. If that may sound weird to you guys, hey, I apologize, but we look at Acts 2 and we take it seriously where it's they lived in community together. We have a lot of workers here, and I thoroughly enjoy paying the wages for our brothers and sisters who are clearing out the woods. We're basically getting this property, and we're actually going to close on another property, the next door property in October, and we're actually going to subdue the land and turn it into our own campground so that we don't have to go to Lebanon anymore, which I think will put us in the position where we can actually eliminate ticket prices for all the feast days moving forward, because I don't like charging ticket prices for the feast days. I kind of feel a little weird about it, but we have to because they cost a lot of money. I mean, just the campground alone, when we rent it, costs anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000, depending on how many people show up. So the point is long term, we're looking to create our community land into a suitable land for feast days. And our goal is to have that land ready for Sukkot 2025. So just a little over about 14 months, I think we can get it done. That's going to be our plan. And so anyways, I'm at a point now where I need help paying some of the workers' wages. I drained my savings account. Me and my wife, we drained our savings account to get into this place, plus the financial assistance we got from others. We brought all that together, and we were able to pay cash for this place, so we don't have a mortgage. So I'm at a point where this is good for me because I don't like asking for help. Maybe that's something I have to work on. Maybe that's some deep pride in me that I don't like asking for help. At least how I think about it in my mind is I don't want to ask for help because at least over the last 7-8 years, I figured, hey, if I don't ask for help and Yah sustains me, that just shows that Yah is supporting me without asking for it. And, so anyways, I'm here. I'm not asking for money. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not asking money for me. I do need some help with some of paying some of the wages. And I do have someone that's been helping, but I don't want to continue to ask the same person for more and more help. I'm asking from the body. Those of you who, if you find value in this ministry, that would be sowing directly into this ministry, into really the hands and feet. I may be the face of this ministry, Parable of the Vineyard, and Lyndon and I might be the faces for Ancient Path Revivals, but I'll tell you, there's some special people who I would call living stones of Yah, real treasure, a big treasure in my life. These people who we work together, we live together, and we worship together. These are the hands and feet of Parable of the Vineyard, Ancient Path revivals, and really all the feast days. And so I'm just at a point where I need help with paying them. I'm just running low, and I don't have the savings account to back me up anymore. So, yeah, that's it. And thanks for staying. And we're gonna play a couple songs. And what do we got here? Let's go with. I should always have notes of just which song we're going to play. But I feel like maybe just the Ruach. Let's go with... I don't know. Nothing really relates to this week's Torah portion. Let's just go with this one because I love it.
Israel, and let us sing praises before our Elohim. O holy temple of Yah, resound with the praises of our King. Spirit of Yah, come near and dwell here with your bride now as we tell of all your wondrous works and all your bow before our King. Yours is the glory and power, Yah. Heaven and earth proclaim, Yah. Yours is the kingdom forever, and all creation sings your name. Blessed are you, O King of Kings, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, El of our Father Israel, now and forevermore. You are exalted, Yah on high, riches and honor you provide. In your hands are power and might to strengthen us. sings your name. Oh, and all creation sings your name. Oh, and all creation sings your name. So we say, oh, Yahuwah. Oh, Yahuwah, yeah. Oh, Yahuwah. Oh, Yahuwah.
The carpenter's tools had a conference. Brother Hammer was the chairman. Upon bringing the meeting to order, he said that he had heard there were some complaints among his fellow tools and thought it would be a good idea to discuss it openly and frankly together. So let's hear your complaints, Brother Tools. Yes. Brother Saw, what is your complaint? Brother Saw stood up and said, "It's that little Brother Pencil. He gets on everyone's nerves. He is so small. He can hardly be found when he is needed, and when he is found for service, he is always so blunt that he makes a bad impression. He certainly needs to be sharpened up a bit if he expects to be of any use." Then little Brother Pencil slowly arose to his feet and spoke. "All right, I may be blunt at times, but it's when I spend too long in service when I'm like that. But at least I'm not like Big Brother Drill and his family of bits. It seems to me that they are always going around in circles, and really, to me, Brother Drill is a bit boring." So Brother Drill and all his family of little bits stood up and he replied, "Yes, I know I have a reputation of going around in circles, but at least my family is not like Brother Plain. You have to push him to get him to do anything, and then all of his work is on the surface. There is no depth to his work, like that of ours." Well, all the tools agreed that Brother Drill had a good point about Brother Plain. All eyes turned to Brother Plain to see what he would say. "Well, brothers," spoke up Brother Plain, "I guess I'm not the only one around here that has to be pushed to do anything or who has no depth in service. Brother Sandpaper is worse than I am. He is new in our midst, and look how rough he is. I can't stand to be beside him. He just rubs me the wrong way. How can he accomplish anything in his service? I'll never know. He's so irritating." "Well," jumped up Brother Sandpaper, and he was really mad. "Brother Plain is just jealous," he shouted. "He knows I have better success in service than he does." Raising his voice even louder, he yelled, "While everyone is complaining, how about Brother Rule? He makes me boil by always measuring others by his standards, as though Brother Rule is the only one right around here." Well, all the tools seemed to have legitimate complaints against one another. Some suggested that a committee be formed to hear all the complaints and try to settle them. Brother Level was suggested, but he was turned down because he was so exacting. Brother Square was turned down because he was too old-fashioned. Brother Chisel could be so cutting and everyone was afraid of Brother Punch. In the midst of the heated discussion, while some were about to walk out, thinking they were not needed, who should walk in but their master, the carpenter from Nazareth? His father had asked him to build a house they could dwell in, and now he was almost finished with it. He put on his work clothes and started to finish the work that his father had given him to do. And he used the saw, the hammer, the pencil, the drill, and the plane. He also used the sandpaper, the ruler, and the level, the punch, and other tools. But now someone else appeared on the scene. It was the carpenter's father. How pleased and thrilled he was to see what his son had accomplished. "How did you do it, my son?" asked the father. Well, I put to use all the tools I bought, and how I love every one of them. I paid a high price for them, Father, but they are really worth it. See, Brother Hammer there? He is so useful for the work of both tearing down and building up. He's really effective in service because he really hits the nail on the head. He's a very solid worker, I must say. And Brother Saw, he's a really good worker. He's really sharp and puts teeth into his work, constantly going back and forth in one area at a time for very effective service. I'm sure glad to have Brother Pencil too. Although he's not very big and I have to sharpen him up a bit from time to time, unlike the other tools, he's very useful in the correcting and marking work. And Father, here's another one that I just couldn't be without. Big Brother Drill and all those little bits in his family. They are so good at reaching down deep into the heart, and they are always leaving a way for a follow-up. And look at this Brother Plaint. He's so handy to have around in the service. He's a very smooth worker and never bites off more than he can chew at one time. He's so good at overcoming obstacles as well. And how did you find this tool, my son? Asked the father. You mean Brother Lovell? Questions the son. He is another one that is very useful to me. He has a good eye for balance and he is so level-headed. I can use him often, for he does a good job for me. I'm so thankful, said the carpenter, for even the very small tools I bought. They are so essential for my work. Take little Brother Punch, for example. Although he is quite small, with the assistance of Brother Hammer, he does a fine job of driving his point home. And there is tiny Brother Rule. Although he is small in size, he is always extending himself to meet various circumstances, and is accurate in his service. Even my new tools, like Brother Sandpaper, I don't know how I can get along without him. Although there is a certain roughness about him, he does well in producing smooth results through his service. So you see, Father, said the carpenter, it is because of having a variety of good tools that I am able to accomplish this house that you asked me to build. I'm so thankful that I have all of these tools, so that with their help I can finish your house you have asked me to build. Let me show you around the rest of the building, Father. Well, upon their leaving, all the carpenter's tools started rejoicing because of hearing the carpenter's commendation and seeing how pleased the father was with what they had accomplished together. Brother Hammer arose again and said, Brothers, I perceive that all of us are needed. Although all of us may have our faults, or not do things the same as others think we should, whether old or new, young or old, large or small, all of us are laborers together in pleasing our Master and his Father.